All right, guys, we're back here on Southeastern 16. Max Barr joins. We are previewing Alabama and Illinois. This one will tip off on Wednesday night at the United Center in Chicago. Game takes place at 9 p.m. Eastern on FS1. As of right now, we are, as you know, a proud member of the FanDuel universe, Max Barr.
Yes.
And they are a proud sponsor of Southeastern 16. Illinois, minus 4.5 currently. The over-under of basketball players' delight, 181.5. 181.5 is your current over-under for this game, Max. Before we get into giving you our thoughts on it, Game Time Sidekicks, if you want to have a nice little officially licensed stainless steel drinkware for the game tonight. I don't know if they're going to be able to ship it to you today, but I guarantee if you order it, they're going to get it out the door as fast as they can. Every SEC school is there. Over 350 more universities as well. If you're an Illinois fan, get a nice little discount with our code here I'm going to give you shortly. Everything from stainless steel sippy cups, tumblers, 40-ounce bottles, and shaker cups. The code is SE16 for 20% off over at Game Time Sidekicks. SE16, 20% off GameTimeSidekicks.com. All right, Max, injuries. We always start with
Mm.
those. There's a lot of things in the air seemingly for the Illini right now. Of course, we have one that we followed on the Alabama side too, but it seems like, again, multiple maybe TBDs for the Illini in this one, and we may know. Honestly, folks, when you're watching this video, you may already know whether some of these guys are playing, but it sounds like there could be one or two that could be closer to game time.
Yeah, and this is you got to take into consideration. This is an Illinois team that lost Ty Rodgers for the season already. So, as good as they have been, the analytical darling of the season so far, the Fighting Illini, no freshman Brandon Lee yet. Um, you got the Ivasic brothers all banged up. Freshman international, either Petrovic or Petrovic. Not sure which one the pronunciation is, but he's been out. I mean, Stojakovic missed game one, but he's been back playing his regular minutes past few games. But yeah, bunch of injuries for Illinois, who it really hasn't affected them so far. And on the Alabama side, we've been keeping an eye on Keaton Bristow, just with the depth that he provides in the front court. And Nate Oates said that it'll be a game time decision. So a lot of injuries, a lot of game time decisions.
Yeah, don't love that if I'm someone who's deciding to bet on this game. As we said, it is 4.5 over there at FanDuel. But yeah, so I think when you get into it, like we said, I mean, you kind of look at what both teams have faced so far. We know for Alabama, they got the win at St. John's, came back, got out rebounded by 24 against Purdue. That was the most glaring thing, I think, coming out of that game for the Crimson Tide. I mean, they went 16 of 43 from three. That's always the thing. Like we said, there were some things you could really pick on Alabama about in that game, and it felt disappointing to lose it, but to get out rebounded the way they did and still be right there with basically a minute to go, it just shows you that this team is still, if that is a long term issue for the Crimson Tide, they're still going to have their chances to beat teams just based on the volume of 3-point attempts. So that is going to be something, obviously, we're following in this game. And then for Illinois, the huge win over Texas Tech a week ago. And I mean, again, you talk about a team that I think is just, and there's a reason, as we mentioned, in terms of the over under. Like, there's going to be a lot of points in this game. You'd be surprised if they're not. But I think with just the overall makeup of both these teams, obviously, there's a lot of size on this Illinois team. And so far, they've done a really good job of getting extra opportunities via offensive rebounds. And based on what we saw for Alabama against Purdue, I mean, that is priority number one for the Crimson Tide, who are not getting a lot of offensive rebounds themselves. I think they just got to have that sort of approach that they've got to be better on the glass, and that's about as simple as it gets if they're going to have a chance, I think, to win this game.
Yeah, Illinois, fourth in the country in average team height. They are
Yeah.
massive. Besides Kylan Boswell, who at 6'2", you guys know Kylan Boswell by now, little linebacker out there, little Doug Martin muscle hamster vibes. After him, it's 6'6" or taller. You get Keaton Wagler, the freshman, that's really impressed. Really impressed. Jake Davis, the junior, who kind of floats between the 2 and the 3 at 6'6". Stojakovic 6'7". But then the main man, honestly, has been Mirkovic, David Mirkovic, the 6'9", 250 international. He's just a double machine. I think he's had 3 double-doubles in their 4 games. Just an absolute rebounding monster. He's going to be ranked in tops of the Big Ten in offensive and defensive rebounding. So it's going to be a tough test getting inside, and the battles for the boards are going to be, you know how they're going to be with all that height, because Wagler can rebound, Davis can rebound. It's a tall Illinois team, Blake.
Well, and it's going to be a game of long rebounds, folks, because as our guy John Rothstein tweeted out this morning, 51.2% of Alabama's shots have come from three-point range. 47.7% of Illinois' shots have come from three-point range. So you're going to be seeing a lot of three-point attempts in this game, no surprise, but you are going to have more of those potential long rebound opportunities, and I think that's where, again, for Alabama, just being able to adapt and show a little bit more on the glass. I mean, it's like I said, it sounds very basic, but we watched the game against Purdue, and it was just, again, it was just all about Purdue dominating the glass. So that's certainly one of the things that I think you're going to kind of track here. And again, like neither of these teams, and I don't know if it's a huge surprise either, like have not forced many turnovers so far this season. I think it's just, again, the stylistic way that they've played. And so, another thing, Max, it's like if you look at what Illinois has done on the defensive side in terms of limiting those second opportunities against the teams they played so far, that's where it could also just be, hey, who's going to make shots here? Because, if Alabama's not making shots, the numbers we have so far kind of tell us that maybe they're not going to get a lot of those extra looks. And so, you need to be able to knock down shots here in a game like this against a team that, like you said, has got good size. But I mean, if we're looking at one player here, Max, you got to pick one guy you think for Alabama, maybe outside of Labaron Philon, because that's the other thing about the Purdue game. He didn't have his best game, and they were still right there with a chance to win. But outside of Labaron Philon, like who's the guy that maybe decides this one for Alabama?
I think it's Aden Sherrill. I think you got to have some offensive output from Aden Sherrill. If you look at Illinois' Texas Tech game, now, tough task being compared to JT Toppin as any big man in America. But JT Toppin, 16 of 23 from inside, went for 35 points. Texas Tech as a team actually shot just under 67% from 2. Despite the Illinois height, despite Big Z getting 3 blocks in that game and Stojakovic having 2 blocks, despite all the height that Illinois has to offer, Texas Tech was still uber efficient from inside the arc. So if Labaron Philon's going to get his, right, who's next up to score inside for Alabama? Let's get a nice efficient offensive night from Sherrill.
Well, and I think that's a good answer too, because the other thing that stands out is he's the tied for 4th leading rebounder on this team right now. And I think that's something when you're talking about a guy who's your center at 6'11", and so far in 3 games he has 10 rebounds. Oh, like combined. I think that's something too. Where, like we said, if you're looking at a game like this in terms of the rebounding, you're gonna need that. And I think you want to see those numbers go up because right now I think Amari Allen's Alabama's leading rebounder,
Yep.
and I think he's kind of an intriguing one here to pick too because we mentioned the hype train was in full effect. Our guy Big Baller Brad in the chat, like making sure we were not going to overlook Amari Allen coming into the season, and so far, again, he's a guy who's played 25 minutes a game, and I just think that I think he could be a big factor in this one, just based on kind of his skill set and those kind of things. So, I mean, it's a fascinating matchup because, like you said, I mean, it could be an Aden Sherrill, it could be an Amari Allen. Those are the kind of guys that I think in games like this, we're going to look back and be like, all right, Allen hasn't really, I guess, really the past couple games, right? He looked good in the first game against North Dakota, played 24 minutes against St. John's, had 10 rebounds in that one. And then, the last game against Purdue, played 19 minutes, only had 3 points, 4 rebounds. Didn't quite have the production, but I think getting a big game out of him could be very, very key for Alabama here.
I think the free throw line is going to be probably my second most important aspect of this game, because if you look at Alabama, not getting to the free throw line a lot, Blake. They're just not. Last year, 30th in the country in free throw attempt rate. About 40, it was about 39.3% last year. Right now, 302nd. They were 30th last year. They're 302nd right now in a national free throw rate. Guess who's the number one defense through 2.5 weeks in the country at limiting opponent free throw attempts? The Fighting Illini, number one in the nation in limiting opponent free throw attempts. So if those trends continue, Alabama not getting the line and Illinois being fantastic at not putting you on the line, well, we got to be just knocking them down, Blake. You got to be knocking them down because you're not going to get sent to the line.
Yeah. All right. You ready to make some picks for this one?
I am.
All right.
So remember, this is semi-home for Illinois. I hate these semi. You're right. It's in Chicago, so it might show up as a neutral, but this is going to be a heavy Illinois crowd. Everything I look at this matchup, Blake, tells me pick Illinois. Everything. So I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to go Tide. I'm going to fade myself. I'm very confident in Illinois. If you're looking at this for betting advice, I think Illinois has the edge here. It's college basketball, though. Got a weird feeling. Don't know. I'm going Tide. I like Illinois too much here. I think I like them too much.
Well, I liked Alabama too much in their game against Purdue. Purdue won that game 87-80. So far, in every big game we previewed involving an SEC team, every time we picked the SEC team, they've lost. And we've had 4 or 5 previews. So, like you said, fade yourself. Fade Southeastern 16. And when you asked me a question on our Tuesday night stream after the Kentucky debacle against Michigan State, and you threw the question out, who do you think is the best team you've seen so far this season? And I threw one of the teams in there as Illinois. I said I think that they may be one of the best teams I've seen. You mentioned the injury uncertainties, those things. You know, I don't know. It just depends, right? We don't know exactly who's going to play as we're recording this. But I'm here to tell you that at some point, the streak has got to be broken. So, give me the Illini in this one.
All right.
The streak's got to be broken at some point. Like, are we ever going to be able to pick an SEC team again and they win? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. So, we'll find out. All right. Should be a great game at the United Center. We will be reacting to it on Thursday morning since it is a late game. We'll have reaction here on the channel. So hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, turn on your notifications. Before we head out, remember, we are sponsored as well by the yearly company, Nashville-based fine jewelry brand, built on tradition, designed for meeting. They got those solid 14-karat gold bangles over there, natural gemstones, made to measure for a perfect fit, backed by a lifetime guarantee. Every one of those bangles, custom size. So you got to know your size, and that's where our friends over at the yearly company come in because they're giving you 100% off the sizing kit at checkout. 100% off. Use our code SE16KIT, SE16KIT. 100% off the sizing kit. Get it. If you're a husband trying to get ahead on some holiday shopping and all that, head over to the yearly company. Check them out. Also, check out ROKFORM, ROKFORM.com, the world's strongest magnetic phone case. Extreme protection, super strong magnets, rock lock, secure mounting. SEC25 is the code over there, SEC25 for 25% off at ROKFORM. All right. Appreciate you guys watching as always. FanDuel, as we said, 4.5. Favor the Illini. You better believe I'll be doing the emotional hedge in this one. Alabama plus 4.5 already in the books over there. But we appreciate you guys watching, and we'll talk to you soon here at Southeastern 16. Remember to leave your score predictions in the comments. Talk to you soon. Southeastern 16 presented by FanDuel.